Welcome to all of our new Toastmasters. We are very happy that you've decided to join us in our quest for self-improvement. We're confident you will quickly build your communication and your leadership skills, as well as your confidence as you pursue the many Toastmasters opportunities that we're going to share with you. My name is Debbie Jo Londano. I'm the current District 84 Director. District 84 includes nearly all the clubs in North Florida, from Lakeland, which is south of Orlando, up the East Coast to Georgia, west to Tallahassee in the Panhandle. We also have a couple of virtual clubs. Joining me tonight to help orient all of our new members is distinguished Toastmaster Paula Suma. Give a little wave, Paula. Paula is our District 84 Program Quality Director. And we have distinguished Toastmaster Vicki Goodman, our District 84 Club Growth Director. We're the top 3 District 84 officers. We're referred to as the District Trio. Also helping with our training tonight is our Pathways Committee Chair, distinguished Toastmaster Rachel Assignon. Let's get started. Tonight's agenda offers an opportunity for their newest members to receive general information and orientation to Toastmasters so that they have a better idea of what to expect and what to look for. Our agenda will include encouragement to define your Toastmaster goals, an outline of club meeting roles, and suggested starting places. We'll move into Toastmasters education program, which is known as, raise your hand if you know what the program's called. Okay, it's called Pathways. We're going to talk about pathways. Then we'll touch on the importance of mentoring to your successful Toastmasters journey. Next, we're going to talk about the leadership opportunities available to you. There's a lot of them. And when we're done with that, we'll talk about your next steps to get you on your way. Finally, we'll share ways your club will support you, what responsibilities you may have as members, and then we'll end our training with Q&A session that everyone can participate in. So if you have any questions along the way, please jot them down. Raise your hand if you've ever gone on a trip. You ever been on a trip? So what did you do before you went on the trip? You had to know where you're going. Even if you're just going to the grocery store, every journey starts with a destination in mind. So think about why you joined your club. What is it you hope to accomplish? Our goal, and the goal of your club leaders and other members, is to help you to meet your goals. There's a new member profile form available from Toastmasters International, which we refer to as TI. You may have been asked to complete this form to help your club VPE, which is Vice President of Education, VPE, help to plan your progress. We will upload that a little bit later on so that you can fill that out and you can have that tool to help you think about your goals. So take some time to review the form, send a copy to your VPE, which will help you get started. Your club officers and your mentor, if you have one, need to know what they need to do to help you meet your goals. So it's important to share these. You know, everything in Toastmasters revolves around the club experience. So to get the most out of your journey, you must participate. And the only way to learn and to get better is to practice. And you practice every time you take part in table topics, fill other meeting roles, and of course, give speeches. Now, Toastmasters is a self-paced journey, and only you can decide how fast and how far you can go. When I first joined, I joined at the same time as another member, and in the beginning, I would give a speech every now and then. Then all of a sudden, I just got excited and I started completing those projects one after the other. And that wasn't the priority for that person. So they did at their pace and I worked at my pace. So this is for you to decide how fast you want to go. Now remember, improved communication is a Toastmasters objective. So please communicate with your fellow club members so they can support you and you can support them. Now, for a general description of the various meeting roles, please welcome District 84 Program Quality Director, Distinguished Toastmaster, Paula Suma.
Thank you, Madam Director. I am so excited to be here. Welcome, everybody. It is wonderful to see all of these happy, smiling faces. Happy New Year. Now, you're probably all aware that each club meeting has a variety of roles that are filled by the members. And by taking on one of these roles each time you attend a meeting, you're learning a unique set of responsibilities and skills. I'm going to provide you a brief description of some of the more common roles that are filled at a typical club meeting. However, every club is different, and your club meeting may not include some of the roles that I mentioned, or it may include additional roles that are not on this list. So if your club has additional roles, for example, some clubs have a quiz master, some clubs have a joke master. Whatever your club requires is specific for those clubs. And if they have something other than what I'm mentioning tonight, you can check with the members or the officers of the club, find out a little bit more about the details of whatever additional roles they may have. So many members like to start out with table topics, being a speaker, being asked to answer a table topics question. Now, participating in table topics helps to train members to quickly organize and express their thoughts in an impromptu setting. The topics master will call on respondents at random, typically asking them a question. Responses should be clear and succinct, lasting 1 to 2 minutes. This is where you get to use your imagination, have fun creating a quick and brief response. If you don't know the answer, maybe it really isn't a specific answer, just make something up. That's what makes table topics so much fun. That's what makes this the favorite part of a lot of Toastmasters meetings, table topics. Many clubs call the next 3 roles functionary roles. Now, in the days of meeting in person, usually these people sat in the back of the room, and so some people still call them the back table. I don't know if that still happens, but I remember going to Trailblazers in particularly, they called it the back table. Whatever they call it, functionary roles or the back table roles, these are 3 different functions that are filled at each meeting. First one I'm going to talk about is the ah counter. Now, the ah counter takes notes of any overused and or filler words used by those people who have speaking roles during the meeting. It's an easy role for new members to start with. As the ah counter, you listen, you write down inappropriate or overused words such as and, well, but, so, you know. Sounds, maybe ah, A double clutch is when 2 of the same words or phrases are strung together, like I saw, I saw. This role works on skills of active listening, evaluation, and providing feedback to other members. One of the skills the Toastmaster practices is expressing a thought within a specific time. The timer of the meeting is responsible for monitoring time for each meeting segment and each of the speakers. You'll need to know how your club signals timing cues. Some of them use different colored cards or objects. For example, they'll hold the green in front when they've reached their first portion of their meeting. So if it's 5 to 7 minutes, green card at 5 minutes, yellow at 6, and red at 7. So they can either hold up the card in front of the camera, or they can go to a Zoom background. For example, we have virtual backgrounds that are provided by Toastmasters International that you can download, which would provide you with your green, your yellow, or your red background. And we can gladly tell you where to find these backgrounds. Now, if you would like, some of them give a verbal cue because we do have members that are visually impaired. And so we have verbal cues. So you can say 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes. It depends on what the speaker prefers. And that is up to you and the speaker, you as timer and the speaker, to determine exactly how you'd like to, or they would like to be timed and be shown their time. So the timer is a very, very important role. The next role that we have is the grammarian or the word master, or it can be one job doing both. Now, as the grammarian, they help improve planning, evaluation, and interpersonal communication and speaking skills. Now, in some clubs, one person does both. In some clubs, they have a separate word master. Either way, a word of the day would be chosen, and they would listen for that word of the day. And some clubs actually, I don't know if they still do it, but some clubs would charge a quarter if a speaker doesn't say the word of the day. With everything done by Zoom, I don't know that they do that anymore, but some clubs do. So watch out and make sure you use the word of the day and that you use it appropriately. If there's a word master, that would be their duty, just keeping track of that word of the day. But if there's a grammarian who does both, in addition to the word of the day, the grammarian is going to listen, and they're going to help members improve their grammar and their vocabulary. As a grammarian, you would listen, as with the counter, and you would write down what you hear the speaker saying. You'd listen specifically for colorful phrases, descriptive words that create a picture in your mind, or an interesting combination of words. And I'm going to give you an example because I was thinking about this earlier while I was looking out my window. So you could say, the sunset over the lake lit up the sky like a ball of fire across the horizon. That would be something maybe a grammarian would write down, because those are very picturesque and descriptive words. So those are things a grammarian would listen for as well. They would write down who said it, and then at the end of the meeting, when called upon to do so, they would give their report. Same goes for that counter and the timer. When called upon to do so, they would give their reports. All right, another role in the meeting is the speaker. The speaker provides you with an opportunity to develop your speaking skills, of course. It's an educational opportunity for your club too, because not only are they listening to you speak, they are listening for everything else, good and bad use of grammar. They're listening for those ahs and ums, because someday every member is going to take on one of those roles. So we're all learning as we're all speaking. As a speaker, typically you would prepare a speech in advance, you would rehearse, you would get with your evaluator and let them know what the goals of your speech are. And hopefully you're working on a pathway speech, so you would send them your evaluation. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. And you would ask them what you would like for them to look for in your speech. You would provide an introduction to the Toastmaster, and then you would give that prepared speech to your club, keeping an eye on those timing lights. Make sure you stay within that time frame. Then you would receive feedback from your evaluator, typically both orally and written, so that you can keep track of where you are on your pathway speeches. Now, evaluation is the heart of the Toastmasters educational program. So typically this role you take on once you've had a little bit of experience and been in the club for a little bit of time. As the evaluator, you would listen, providing both the oral and written feedback to the other member. You observe the speech and you listen carefully. You would typically ask those to evaluate what they present and what they wish to achieve. So find out what they're looking for. The speaker may provide you with a copy of their evaluation form, like I had indicated earlier, but if they don't, that's okay. There's kind of a general evaluation form that you can get from the website, and you can use that if you don't have one specific to their speech. But the purpose of giving an evaluation is to give positive feedback. Tell them what they did well, suggest possibly one or two things that they can improve upon, And always end it on a positive note with some more good, detailed information about what you thought was really done well on their speech. All evaluations are done in a positive manner. We never say you should have done that and you didn't do that. You might say, what I would have done, or perhaps next time, think about doing this. Something like that, something that really makes it a positive, good experience to the speaker, as well as to all the listeners in the room. Offer praise as well as constructive criticism, and always end it with praise. Now, I mentioned Toastmaster briefly a little bit ago when I was talking about being a table topic speaker. Well, you have to have a table topics master in order to have those table topics questions. So this is the person who leads the table topics session. As table topics master, you select topics or questions in advance of the meeting that will allow speakers to offer opinions, ideas, stories, or whatever the specific topic requires. Typically, there should be time enough to ask 3 to 5 questions per meeting, but I suggest you prepare a couple extra just in case you have extra time. You always want to ask on those who ask people table topics questions first for those people who have no other speaking role within the meeting. So you typically wouldn't ask a speaker or an evaluator or the general evaluator or the Toastmaster of the day. You would ask others who either have no role or who have a functionary role. Then you would move on to others. But you want to make sure you try to get everyone who doesn't have a speaking role if there's time. Ask one member at a time to provide their answer. And be sure to ask a few members if they're guests or they're new. Ask them in advance, would you like to be included in our table topics? Don't ever ask a question to a brand new guest because they're not going to know what to do. I mean, you can, but don't ask them first. First, you want to ask a Toastmaster who's already been in Toastmasters for a while. Start out with them with your first table topics question. And then the new guest, the new member will see how it's done and they won't be so confused. And they'll feel a little bit more comfortable if they see how it's done by someone else before you ask them. And it's advisable to have the table topics section at the meeting after the prepared speeches. So this way, if you have more time, you can ask more table topics questions. All right, next important role is the general evaluator. The general evaluator kind of oversees the evaluation section of the club. They take notes and they record on basically how the meeting went. Did it start on time? Did they show the flag? Did they say the pledge? Did they greet new members? Were all of the roles filled? Things like that. The evaluator, rather the general evaluator, they call on the evaluators one at a time to evaluate the specific speeches. Then at the end of the meeting, they do their general evaluation of the meeting and they get to present any prizes or awards if there is an election of, say, the best speaker or who did the best table topics. The general evaluator gets to present those special awards. Some clubs give awards, some don't, but you'll hear about that a little bit later on. Make sure that the general evaluator does not evaluate the evaluators. They don't need to evaluate the speakers or the evaluators. They just evaluate the meeting in general. Okay, that's one thing we want to make sure, that you don't need them to evaluate the evaluators. All right, the most visible role in the meeting is the Toastmaster of the day. Now, we recommend you being in Toastmasters and attending meetings for a while before you take on this role. This role is like the host of the meeting, the MC of the meeting. You run the meeting and make sure that everything happens when it's supposed to happen and that the meeting stays on time. So we don't advise a brand new member to take on that role right away. When you're ready to serve as the Toastmaster, you will find it as an excellent way to practice planning, organization, time management, facilitation, motivation, team building, and so much more. And we have so many resources available on the Toastmasters website, on our District 84 website, and TI International website to help you prepare for this role, as well as all the other roles in the meeting. We want to make sure everything is smooth and transitions easily, and we're here to help you. So with all of that said, every club has its own system for members to sign up and serve in specific roles. Check with your club members, your club officers, VP Education to learn what system your club uses. Most clubs encourage members to sign up in advance for roles for upcoming meetings. And this allows, again, for a smoother meeting and easy transitions. You don't have to worry about trying to fill in unfilled roles right at the start of the meeting. If it's done in advance, it makes things so much easier. But it's not unusual to see roles filled at the last minute, and that's perfectly okay. And it's also not unusual to see one or two people filling in more than one role at a time, and that's also okay. We encourage participation from everyone so that every time you attend a meeting, you learn something new, try something different, take on a role that you've never done before. Don't be afraid. We have so many people and so many resources to get you through those roles. That's what Toastmasters is all about. The educational program, Pathways, requires members to serve in a minimum of 3 roles, speaker, table topics master, and Toastmasters, before you move on beyond level 3 in any path. So we encourage you to try these roles, step outside of that box. Speaking of pathways, here is our District 84 Pathways Committee Chair, Rachel Assignon, to provide you an overview of this exciting educational program. Please welcome Rachel.
Thank you, Paula. Welcome, everyone. Glad that you're joining us this evening, and I want to talk a little bit about Pathways, which is the education program. Currently, we have 11 dynamic paths for you to choose, as Paula mentioned, and Debbie Jo mentioned as well. This is your journey, and you decide how fast or how slow you would like to go. And these are the 11 paths that you can choose from. Each one of them build on specific skills. Some of the skills are about presentation, while others are about motivating people and teams, networking, leadership, writing skills, and so much more. Every single path has the same level 1, and then it starts to diverge from there. So to give you an example, we just put up dynamic leadership, which is one of the paths that focuses on public speaking, interpersonal communication, and management. So at level 1, we're really building the basics, having that baseline, getting started to have a strong foundation to move through the rest of the Toastmasters Pathways program. One of the things about this level that is really fun is the first project for everyone is called the icebreaker. It's a 4 to 6 minute speech where you get to introduce yourself to your club. And it could be something about your hobbies, your profession, your goals, maybe an interesting trip you took, who knows, whatever aspect of yourself that you would like to put forward to your club for them to get to know you is a great place to start. We also have some other things in the level 1 that talk about evaluation and feedback. Paula just talked about the speech evaluator, the general evaluator, the counter, timer, and the grammarian. All of these are ways for you to sharpen your skills to provide feedback to others. It's also a way for you to receive feedback and then learn how to implement that feedback into your next speaking opportunity. The next level is about your specific style. So depending on which path you are in, you will be given the opportunity to explore maybe your leadership style, your communication style, or even your humor, your sense of humor. So that's a lot of fun to kind of get to know your own self as it relates to that specific path. Level 3 is where we've got that foundation. Now we know a little bit about our own self, and now we're starting to add some more skills and tools to your tool belt. Moving on to level 4 is where we are really flexing those muscles, some of the things that we learned in the foundation, and pairing that with what our style is and who we are as individuals, and using that knowledge to be just enough dangerous to make a dynamic, fantastic speech or project with your team. So some of the projects that you'll see in level 4 and actually in level 5 as well are not just about giving a speech, but also leading a team to do something. So think about some of those professional goals, or maybe another organization that you're a part of, or maybe even your own household would be a great way to think about some of those leadership skills. And we're going to top it all off with expertise. I know that sounds like I'm just going to be an expert at the end of this. Well, yes and no. You're going to be given enough tools that you can keep reapplying that knowledge and those skills and really be able to synthesize and simulate some of those really fantastic things that you're trying to accomplish for your own personal and your professional goals. If you haven't done so yet, I'd really encourage you to log into the Pathways system, which is called Basecamp, and take a look around and see what it's all about. So we are going to talk a little bit about that later, but for right now, I actually want to turn the virtual control of this meeting over to our District 84 Club Growth Director, Distinguished Toastmaster, Vicki Goodman.
Well, Happy New Year, everyone, and welcome. The positive and supportive environment offered by your Toastmasters Club is really greatly enhanced by what we all refer to as a mentoring program. Every club tries to assign a mentor to each new member to help them through their Toastmasters journey. You know, whenever you have a question, you need help, and when you're first getting started, you feel lost, you're not sure what's going on, your mentor's a great person to reach out to turn to, ask those questions. Your mentor can show you the ropes, providing explanations and guidance through your first few speeches. You know, mentors also get credit for specific projects later on in their path by being a mentor. But most members agree, whether they're getting credit or not, mentoring is really one of the best ways to really master certain skills themselves. And those longtime members, well, like me, I've been in a few years, probably longer than some of you might have even been here on Earth. But we find mentoring to be one of the most rewarding aspects of our Toastmasters experience. All Toastmasters benefit from the mentoring relationship, and most of us continue to solicit mentors as we progress through the Toastmasters program, asking help from mentors or members with a particular skill or knowledge base to get some essential feedback and one-on-one assistance. So take advantage of the mentoring program, and eventually you too will be asked to mentor another new member. If you don't have a mentor as yet, speak to your club vice president of education about getting one. Get someone to volunteer, or maybe you have someone in mind in your club that you particularly admire, or there's a skill that you would like to improve yourself. So approach that member and ask if they would be your mentor. Another way Toastmasters builds skills and expertise is by taking up one of the numerous leadership opportunities afforded to you in Toastmasters. Becoming a club officer is an incredible experience, offering on-the-job training. I know all of us like that part of it. As a team member, you're going to work together to help your club run smoothly and support other members as they strive for self-improvement. Now, most of us don't usually join Toastmasters to develop our leadership skills. Not something we really think about. I mean, some people do, but most of us are working on general communication and public speaking. But the leadership opportunities are there, and they are astronomical and worldwide. This diagram represents the structure of the overall Toastmasters organization, which, as you know, is international in, I think, over 145 countries around the world. Most organizational charts, if you think about it, are designed to show the controlling office or person at the top of the chart, and then it's like a trickle down to the bottom rank and file workers. Toastmasters, however, has a very different view of its organization. Members are considered the most important part of the organization, and everything in Toastmasters revolves around our clubs and our members. We feel that when members succeed and grow, this success trickles down to the rest of the organization. So you will always find that the most important aspect of your Toastmasters experience is your success. Clubs are grouped into areas, as you see further down the chart. A group of 4 to 6 areas will make up a division, and divisions are linked to form districts like ours, District 84, which in turn make up the various Toastmaster regions around the world. So just to give you an idea of where your club is located in reference to the Toastmaster organization, here's a map of our District 84. Without regard to the online or virtual clubs that don't actually sit in one of these physical locations, you can see, as previously mentioned, that our district includes the majority of the northern part of the state of Florida. And it actually is composed of 9 divisions, which are labeled A through I, and represented by the different colors on this map. So if you know where your city is or where your home club is, you can kind of generally see which division you are in. Your club is going to be included as part of one of the 41 areas on your geographic location. This is just information for you to know. Mainly, this is a structure that allows all of the information from Toastmasters International and our district trio to make sure we get the support and help your club needs to succeed. You know, there's volunteer leadership roles available at each level of the Toastmasters organization. Each level offers valuable experience that will help you in your career or life choices outside of Toastmasters. You can start by leading a small team of individuals at the club level. You may already be aware of some of your club officer positions. The club president most likely presides over your meeting and runs the business meeting. The sergeant at arms calls the meeting to order. The vice president of education sets up the agenda each week, and so forth. There are actually 7 officers who are typically elected for a 6-month or 1-year term of office, for which you get credit to use for more of the advanced accomplishments in Toastmasters. All of those officers receive training needed to maximize their officer experience. The middle bar shows, or the middle box shows, the area and division levels of Toastmasters. You can learn what it's like at these levels to be like a mid-level manager or oversee larger teams. And even at the district leaders, the region advisors, and the board of directors members gain experience as senior leaders and executives. The great thing is that there are leadership opportunities at every single level, with each step up offering an exponential increase in the number of people you are serving. Even the Toastmasters International Board of Directors is made up of volunteers from around the world elected for a 2-year term. So how do members progress in Toastmasters? Well, I'm going to ask Rachel to come back and explain a bit about how to begin your Pathways educational journey.
Thank you, Vicki. Well, now that we've discussed some of the Toastmasters basics, let's talk about how this relates to you. If you've already become a member, you would have received a welcome email. By a show of hands, how many of you got that email from Toastmasters International saying something about welcome to your new journey or something like that. All right, so I see some hands. That's great. If I didn't see your hand, one of two things is happening. Possibly it went to your spam or your junk folder, in which case anything with an @toastmasters.org email should be sent to the inbox portion of your email. And the other thing is, well, email's the new snail mail, is it not? So you might have to use your search function and dig around in your email and find it. Either way, that specific email is really important because there's going to be a link in it that says something like get started, and it's going to take you straight over to toastmasters.org, where you'll be able to log in for the first time and get acquainted with all of the things that you're going to need. So the one thing that we want to talk about is the education program pathways. How do we get there? So Toastmasters.org looks something like this. And if you did click on that get started link and you logged in, at the very top, it's going to say in yellow, welcome, and then your name. So this is a success marker that you logged in successfully and you got all of your information ready to go. So once you're logged in, there's a couple different ways to get to pathways. The first way is highlighted in green on the screen, where you can click on the Pathways tab and then a drop-down menu comes in which case you can then click the selection that says Go to Basecamp. Basecamp is the home of Pathways. It is a different website. So as soon as you click on it, it's going to take you somewhere else. So if it looks different than where you just came from, you're still in the right place. The other way to get there from Toastmasters.org is just click on your name. Once you click on your name, it's going to come over to a page that looks something like this. This is your personal profile, and there's a lot of information for you to gather in here. So one of the things that I would like for you to think about as a resource for pathways is called the Navigator. You can always select whichever language you prefer. I think we have about 12 to 16 languages to choose from these days. And then whatever language you chose, then click on view or whatever that is in your language, and then move forward. Something else here is to choose a path. That's one of the things that you will have to do when you come in. So I mentioned that there are 11. So if you want to explore the different paths, you can click on choose a path. It'll give you a little assessment and you can figure out which paths they're recommending and if that goes along with what your personal or professional goals are. You can also explore all 11 in that same section of the website and just kind of look through and see which one speaks to you. Talk to your mentor, talk to the Vice President of Education for additional guidance. You can also reach out to me and we can have a conversation about what is it that you're trying to accomplish and which path can get you there. Now, getting to Basecamp is this blue box on the far left. And the great thing about this is it will open a brand new website that will really help you on this journey of the education program. There are some other things in here as well that's going to give you all of your personal history on this page. Here's Basecamp. Here's the different website I was talking about. So it's going to tell you at the top left corner, welcome to Basecamp and your name. And there's some things I'd like to point out in here as well. This video is a great place to start. It is it's part of the homepage. It's always going to be there. And it's a quick little video of maybe like 3 minutes. And it gives you a tour of the whole page. So I'd really encourage you to spend some time looking at that. Tutorials is another resource where you can learn a little bit about where can I go for different things and what is this whole system about anyway. Speech evaluations. Paula talked earlier about the Evaluator, and I talked earlier about level 1 that we all go through the feedback and evaluation project. whenever you are going to be someone's evaluator, you can get a head start before the meeting and talk with them and figure out what project they're working on. And that project evaluation will be hosted in here. Everyone's evaluations are posted in here. So you'll have an idea of what you're going to be asking your evaluator to look for, and then also what you may be asked to look for as an evaluator once you become one. Paths in learning. This is all about which path did you choose and how to wander around your own education path that you're working through. It's also down here. So there's a couple different places in here. This little section over here is kind of fun because it gives you a place for you to receive feedback from others. It also has different badges. So it's got like the whole gamification going on here. If you're in corporate, you probably hear that term periodically. So every time you start a new path, it gives you a badge. You can give each other badges as well, which is kind of nice to give a shout out to your mentor or to someone who was really helpful in the club for you. You can give them badges and you can receive badges. The My Documents section is your own cloud storage for any of your documents. This is only accessible to you, so no one else can go into the My Documents and see your files. So this helps me personally because sometimes I have content sprawl and I just have files and forms in different places, and this way I can keep it in a digital format and it's all right over there, and then I can see how have I been progressing with maybe one specific thing that I've been thinking about that I would like to improve upon. In Basecamp, you'll be able to track your own progress and also the completed projects, levels, and paths, and also, like I said, your badges. So with that, I'm going to bring Vicki back so she can talk a little bit more about other forms of awards and recognitions.
Thanks, Rachel. You know, the Toastmasters Club mission, if you don't know it now, I promise you're going to learn it over the next few months. But it's to provide a supportive and positive environment in which you, the member, is empowered to develop your communication and your leadership skills with the results that you will have greater self-confidence and personal growth. And as stated previously, that's all done at your own pace. It is critical to your success and to the success of every one of our members that they're recognized and acknowledged for all the hard work they put in as they go through their Toastmasters experience. This is the part of the fun and offers that sense of safety we all require when we're trying new things. You know, we all are a little self-conscious, but when we get in there and just do it, we find out it's a lot of fun. Every club typically offers various forms of recognitions for member accomplishments, but not every club does the same thing. Each club has its own personality. Some clubs offer membership pins when you join, and most clubs collect votes at some point during their meeting. Maybe they vote for each segment of the meeting, like best table topics, best speaker, best evaluator, or perhaps they only vote for one of those options. Regardless, the members vote for those who presented that day so that they can pick the person they think did the best job at either meeting their objective or the presentation at that meeting. They may also award ribbons or traveling trophies when we're meeting in person, or provide certificates. Regardless of whether your club does any or all of these things, I can promise you that all clubs provide the most important reward that we appreciate, and that is our applause and recognition. This is why it's so important to not only be open and relish the applause that you get, but to help by giving that to your fellow Toastmasters. You also have the opportunity to provide some digital badges and other sorts of recognitions as you go through the Pathways program. Each level receives its own set of accomplishments, a digital badge for each level, for each path completed, and certificates of proficiency. You're going to be able to keep these and store them on your personal Basecamp website in your file cabinet, and also display them for other members to see where you're at and what you have accomplished. It's really fun. Feedback is essential. And I think you're going to enjoy not only receiving it, but having the opportunity to really listen and start giving it to others as well. What I'd like to do now is ask Debbie Jo to come back and give us a few closing comments before we go into our question and answers.
Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Vicki Goodman. Have you heard the term distinguished Toastmaster? Raise your hand if you've heard this term before, other than me just now saying it. You may have noticed that the trio and Rachel called each other Distinguished Toastmaster, or we call it DTM. Now, this is an educational designation. Vicki talked about the leadership roles and Rachel talked about the pathways level. So if you want to add those 3 initials to your name, you'll need to complete 2 paths and take on some leadership roles in the district. So make sure every time you give a speech, log into Pathways, log your progress to get credit for everything you do. Now, today you've learned that Toastmaster clubs all over the world share their Pathways learning experience, as well as similar meeting agendas and roles. Now, while they have much in common, they are not identical. Raise your hand if you've ever been to a club besides your home club. Have you ever attended another club? There are over 16,000 clubs around the world, and a lot of them these days are virtual, so you can attend virtually. One of the very fun things, well, I wanted to go back to say, well, I'm talking about the club personality, so it's up to you to learn about the personality of your club. Do they have a dress code? What time do they meet and when, and things like that. So, but one of the very fun things we can do, especially these days, is visit other clubs in our town, other parts of the world. In fact, with Zoom, we can go all over the world these days. Now, our district, District 84, actually has an award. If you attend 3 separate clubs and fill out a form, you get what's called a Club Ambassador pin. It's part of the Club Ambassador program. And you can find out more about the Club Ambassador program and information and resources on the District 84 website. Our District 84 website has been newly revamped. It looks like this when you go to toastmasterd84.org. And you can explore the website using the menu tabs at the top, search for specific items using the search bar, or you can find out about that Club Ambassador program and other programs on the District 84 website. Explore the website, there you go. Use those tabs across the top or the search bar. Also, you can scroll all the way, go to the landing page, scroll down, and you'll find links to social media pages, which you can, so hopefully you'll go join or follow the district on Facebook. That would be awesome. We post a lot of information, a lot of resources, a lot of upcoming events on Facebook and other social media. So as you've heard, Toastmasters share a lot of information, ideas, and tools with each other. And I'd like to talk very quickly about the methods that your club and the district uses to communicate with you. First and foremost, your club meetings are a great place to find out about things that are going on. Email is critical. Raise your hand if you got an email from me or from the district this week. I think probably just about everybody on here got an email from me. We send out something from Constant Contact, and if you have a business email, you may not get it from Constant Contact, and that's why I send it from my personal account, to make sure that you were able to get into this meeting tonight. So please make sure that you open those emails. We provide so many opportunities for you. We really want you to be able to know about them. So it's important that the email that you provide us with is one that you check regularly. So we've already described several resources available to you. Your club may have a website as well. I want to ask you a question. We have what I think is one of the best newsletters in the world. It's called Synergy. Please raise your hand or give me one of these if you've heard of or if you've read the Synergy newsletter. Please say yes. Oh, you're breaking my hat. We put so much effort into the Synergy newsletter. It's beautiful. It's maybe 20, I don't know how many people work on this to get this out to you every month. We send it out through the email, and it's also posted on social media. So please read the newsletter. And if you would like to make contribution, let us know. Just to let you know that our member emails are restricted to Toastmasters business, so we will not share them or use them for any personal business. I feel like I missed something, but I'm going to go straight to Q&A. So go ahead and put your hands down, and then once you do, if you have a question, please raise your hand. Thank you. So I know we covered a lot of information. We want to make sure that you get the proper new member orientation. But if you have any questions, please feel free to unmute yourself. Or Ruben, you see you raise your hand. Ruben, unmute yourself, please.
A question about the $20 fee for, I think, each pathway. Is it $20 per, I guess, path or session, or is it $20 for all 11?
Rachel?
That's a great question. It is, when you first join, you paid the $45 or perhaps a prorated amount if it wasn't at the beginning of the semester, plus $20. That gives you your first path. If you want an additional path, it is $20 per path. Great question.
Let me just tell you that each path is about 14 assignments. So it's not a really short thing. That it takes some time to go through a path.
Takes a while. And Melissa, I hope I said that right. You had your hand raised. Do you have a question?
I have not received my welcome email.
You have not received your welcome letter?
I have not received my
I think your sound is going out a bit, but I think nod your head. I believe that you say you have not received your welcome message. It's okay if you missed it. It just gives you an easy link to go to the Toastmasters International website, log on and set your password, but you can do that without the letter. Simply go to toastmasters.org, www.toastmasters.org, and follow the directions. Use the same email address that you used on your registration form. And then say, I forgot my password. That's how we all start for every website in the world, and you'll set your password. And from then on, I always make my browser remember it, so I don't have to remember. And then you can just go ahead and do everything that Rachel talked about earlier today.
Yeah, as soon as you click and log in, you can put in the email on your application that you submitted, and then it'll say first time logging in, click here. And then it'll take you all the way through.
Seems like a lot of information. And when you do log in, there's also lots of tutorials to help you as well. And I see that Key 1139 has their hand raised. Do you have a question? And tell us who you are.
Hi, I'm Keely Colburn. I just had a quick question. I completed my first speech, my icebreaker speech. Now, do I have to log in to Pathways and indicate that I've completed that speech? I haven't logged into Pathways yet.
Yes, that's a great question. So Pathways isn't just about marking off your projects, but it's also taking the course. There's a course. So go through the course and it will show you the pluses and the minuses, the features, the benefits, the how-tos, including videos and resource links, and it gives you documents as well. So if you wanted to find how to outline a speech, there's a document in there to help you do some mind mapping and some brainstorming. There's a lot of good stuff in Pathways, but yes, once you complete a speech or a project, you would go in there, and this is where you would do the self-service to mark off that project. And every project that's marked off in that level then gets marked off as well. So this is
Okay.
something that you can work with your mentor or your VPE. You can reach out to me as well, put my contact information in the chat, and we can talk about how to work through all of those things. In fact, every single month on the 17th, except for this month, I offer a pathways training. And that's going to be really important for new members as well. Every month has a different theme, but the next one we're doing is February 17th at 7 p.m. I'm just going to drop the link in here. Join me on Zoom for some pathways sessions.
Thank you.
You got it. Thanks for the question.
Thank you all so very much for joining us. Welcome to your Toastmasters journey. I'm going to just say that Toastmasters changed my life, changed the trajectory of my life. It really rocked my world. I was in a meeting and I just felt so, I used to facilitate meetings every week and did this for years, and I was still so nervous. And right after one meeting, I saw an ad for Toastmasters, and I went in to improve my leadership, to improve my speaking skills, to be more comfortable, and never, ever thought, I didn't know about leadership roles, certainly didn't dream of being in the trio, and just kept saying yes, and here we are.